So your budget hobo ass is looking for ways to cheat science as usual, and you're wanting slow motion footage, but you don't want to spend the money for slow motion dollars. Let's face it, slow motion cams are out of reach and unusable, worse than most mirrorless. And the specs we're getting these days, 4K 120 on some cameras, that's kind of nice. But the 240p is luck. But I found a way to get unlimited frames per second, and it's legit and free. And it looks good. It doesn't even degrade the image quality, and everyone has it. Available to them now. Let's talk.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
So I was checking camera rumor sites, and the Nikon rumor guy posted about Topaz. This is not a Topaz video, by the way. Topaz sucks. I tried the free trial because he had a special deal, and I was like, okay, now's the time to try the free trial and see what it's like. And I did one clip trying to make a 4K to 8K and then slow it down like 4 times, estimated 4.5 hour render time. Who has time for that? I did one of those little Huawei P40 Pro clips, a little 10-second clip, 1080p. Upscaled it and slowed it down. It looked fantastic, except the giant watermark that's in the free version, thanks for that, took like 45 minutes to render. So it's like, it's a pain in the bitch, but you'll live. So as I was playing around with that footage, I had a thought to use Davinci's optical flow and speed warp, but I bet you haven't thought to do this. There's only so much you can slow that down. I do 50% and I don't run into problems unless it's a bird doing some shit. Mating habits, you know. But in general, slow it by 50%, add optical flow, and then speed warp in the second thing, and then you're good to go. You render that out, boom. But I had the thought to just keep doing that. Render, and then render. So let me just show you something magical. Here's the original clip. Panasonic GH6 with the Laowa 7.5mm, 300 frames per second, running across the street. No car could ever hit me. So I slowed that down 50%. Now we have 600 frames per second. What you're seeing now, we didn't lose any quality. I'm not seeing any artifacts. This works best if you're starting with something already slow. Are you going to be able to do this with a 24p file? Probably not, but maybe in some circumstances if the background's not super busy. It's best to start with at least 60, 120 preferred because you get 4K with it. So what I'm doing, I have the original clip, 300 frames per second. I add all those speed warp and optical flow things, render it out. Now I have a 600 frame file. I add that to Davinci and do the same thing. I slow that by 50%, optical flow, speed warp, boom. Now we have 1200 frames per second in 1080p, and it's slower than a grandpa easing into a tub after its sitz bath. And that's like super slow. And I was like, could I just keep going doing this? And so I did. Now we have 2400 frames per second, same process. Yes, this takes time. That's the only thing it takes, and you're probably not going to do this very often because it's too damn slow for anybody to witness. It's like so slow. I did one more time, and then I got bored, and I was like, okay, 4800 frames per second. That is damn slow. That is really damn slow. You could freeze time, but I imagine I'll be out there doing some wildlife. I'll have 4K 120p. I'll get this magical moment, and I'll be able to do this and get like 4K 4800 frames per second. It's just gonna take a little bit of time. It's not something I'm willing to do very often, no. But sometimes, for the funnest thing I've ever witnessed, you can do it. And it's free. You don't need Topaz or any external program. Like if you're editing in Davinci like you should be, because it's a one-time cost, it might have even came free with your camera if you're a Blackmagic freak with no flippy screen. What a loser. I gave up at 4,800 frames per second just because I was getting bored and it was getting too long. These clips like end up like just cutting some of it out. But like you could totally do a little speed ramp and boom. I gave up there. I bet I could have made 4K 1 million frames per second if I had the patience to do it. Maybe one of you will take the baton and run with it to victory. And I hope you do. So go do that. Boom, clickbaity for sure. I had, in Topaz, I did the slow-mo vid. I'm not gonna show it because it was watermarked and I already deleted it. But it was 5.1K at like 2,400 frames per, no, 30,000 frames per second. I was like, wow, and it looked good, except the giant watermark. So like I could see a place, I might even buy that Topaz, maybe, but this is the cheap man's version and it works, and it's simple, kind of. It takes time, but your mom takes time. I'll go. I helped you. You've been helped by Davinci through my affiliate link. And Topaz. I don't have one for that. Don't buy Topaz. I gave them free advertising, even though they watermarked my ass.